In this video of JavaScript, we are going to deal with the events. Since JavaScript is a scripting for a web application which is nothing but a GUI, so event-driven programming is very much related to the GUI applications. And now, by working with the events, we are actually going to perform that event-driven methodology. So here, for performing the events, we will use the HTML attributes of the event type. Like for example, if I'm taking a button and I want something should happen when I click on that button, so this is nothing but an event. So for that, I can go for onClick. Similarly, if I want something should happen whenever my page gets loaded, so in the body tag, I can pass onLoad attribute. So onLoad is nothing but again an event. Similarly, different elements of your DOM may have the different set of events, and you can call the specific methods which we have already done on a particular event so that that event will be more logical. So let's start implementing the method calls with the events now.
So now in this example we'll cover the couple of more events like mouse over and mouse out. So basically what I have done is, in the body I have taken the image tag in which I have actually not specified any particular image, and I have also not specified the size of this img tag. That means I am taking the actual size of the image here. If you want, you can take the size as per your requirement. But apart from that, if I talk about the events, in the body I have called a method called onLoad. Means this particular event will be fired as soon as the page will be loaded on a particular browser. But at that particular time, a particular image will be set to this img tag on the load event. So as you can see here, like the name of this img tag is img1, so I'm accessing that particular image from this load method, like document.images img1, and src means I am setting the source for this particular img tag img1 which is there in the body. There may be a number of img tags in the body, so I am specifying the specific one. Now here I have a couple of images like logo green and logo red. So on the load I want this logo green to be there in the image, but as soon as I will put the mouse over that image, so as you can see here on mouse over, I have called a method called mouse over, and there I am setting the logo red.png. That means that particular image will be swapped and the new image will be there as soon as you will be putting the mouse over the image. But when you will move the mouse out of the image, this mouse out event will be called and it will again set the logo green in that image. So let's see how the output is looking like. So this is what the logo green is here. When I'll put the mouse over it, you can see this is the logo red, and now if I'll put the mouse out of this image, again this is logo green. So you can see the effect of the event like mouse out and mouse over. So this is how you can try some more events. In the tutorial you will find a list of events, so you can try any of the event on a particular control or the tag, and you can do the relevant operation on that event.
In this video of JavaScript, we are going to deal with the error handling. Error handling is basically a very important concept in any scripting or programming language, because once you write a code and if it gets compiled or interpreted successfully, that means it is fine and now it's good to execute. But during the execution, anytime it may cause something which may result the error at the runtime, and those runtime errors are called exceptions. At the runtime, only the exceptions can be handled. For example, if you have any syntax or logical errors, we will not be able to handle such things. But if it is any runtime error or exceptions, that can be handled. How? We will use some keywords for that, like try, catch, finally, and throw. Each of these keywords has a different significance. For example, all the suspected code which I may think like it may cause some exception. So I will put all that suspicious code inside this try block. So if in case that gives you an exception, that can be handled by the catch block. But if it doesn't raise any error exception, so this catch will not be functioning. If I want manually to raise any exception, I can go for the throw keyword for that. And similarly, I have a finally keyword which will call its particular statements even though the exceptions are not handled. So rather than discussing here, now we can go on the systems and can start implementing the exception handling.
So here in the exception handling, I have created a very simple program here. So here, as you can see in the header, I have a script tag and I have created a function now also with the name myfunc. Now inside this I have taken a variable a in which I have assigned a number, any random number, let's say 100, and after that I will start working the implementation. So basically, as I said, with whatever the statement will feel like that maybe it may cause an exception, I will put all that particular code in the try block. If there is an exception, then that particular exception will be handled by the catch, and after that you may add a finally block which will be executing for sure. So for example, if you are writing something like you are establishing a connection or maybe getting the data from some external machine, so in that particular case there may be some situation like due to some network issues your communication or your execution is not happening properly. So the exception will occur, and if that occurs, the catch block will be in action. So doesn't matter even if the exception is there or not, this finally block basically executes every time. So for example, if you are establishing a connection with some external resource, so if you want to close the connection, you can do that inside the finally block, because if the communication is successful, it's okay. At the end I would like to close the connection. If the connection is unsuccessful or maybe there's some problem while reading the data, even though I want to close the connection. So such things which you must do at the end of the communication or at the end of the any implementation, you'll have to put that inside the finally block. And now let's say what I have done here, since I just wanted to get an exception here, so what I did, I am just converting this a to the uppercase. But as we see, it is a number and number cannot be converted to the upper or lower case, so obviously I will get an exception. So let's execute this program first without the this exception line. So let's refresh it, and if I'll click here, so as per the program it will say value of variable a is 100. When I'll say okay, you see there is one more alert in the catch, but that error one is not executed, and then finally the control comes inside here. So finally block will always execute. Alright, now let's remove this comment, save the program and refresh the browser. So here you see the error message is there. Alright, because what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to convert the case of a number which is not possible. So let's say okay, and here you see finally block will always execute. So it doesn't matter whether there is an exception or not, the try block will execute for sure. If inside the try block any statement is causing an exception, then catch, and after catch finally block will execute. If there is no exception, then after catch directly finally block will execute. If you are writing a finally block, it will execute for sure, but it is never compulsory to add the finally block while working with the exception handling or error handling in JavaScript.
In this video of JavaScript, we are going to cover the cookies. As cookies is one of the very efficient way of maintaining the state on the client side. But before continuing with this state management thing, let's discuss what this is all about. Basically, when we work with any web application, for the server communication, we need to submit our page on the server side, and then it comes back after submitting the data. In short, we call this process is a post back. So, for example, you have requested for a web form which came blank and you entered some of the values in each text box of that form, and finally you can submit the value. Now, when you submit that particular value, this HTTP protocol, which is a backbone of the client server communication in any web application, this HTTP protocol will take the HT, means hypertext, of the particular page, but the data which is associated with that web page which a user has entered will not be taken by this HTTP protocol. So in this round trip, means in this post back process, that data may get lost. So in order to not to do that, we have to go for the state management. So whenever you will go for any of the web development technology, in each technology you will find something related to this state management. And here in JavaScript, since we are working on the client side scripting, so here we will do the client side state management using the cookies. So whenever I'll talk about this cookie, that simply means I am going to create a text file on the client's machine, and the location of the text file may vary from browser to browser, as each browser has its specific path to store the data. Whenever a user revisits the web page, some of the data may get read from the cookie, as it is a text file. So even if you will shut down your PC, or you will sign out from that web application, or you will close the browser, that file may still be there. So in order to that, we can go for the cookies. Here we have two types of cookies, such as the session cookie or persistent cookie. Session cookie is something which doesn't have a lifetime, means as soon as you will start communicating with the web application, your cookie will be generated and will work only for that specific session. But you may also add a time span which will make it a persistent cookie, and as soon as the lifetime of that cookie is there, that cookie will still be there unless and until you will remove it manually by going at that location, or you may also remove the cookies from the browser itself. So let's find out practically how can we start implementing the cookies in JavaScript.
So here in the implementation of cookies, what I have done, I have taken a very simple form in which a single text box in which I am asking for the name, and a button on clicking on which I will create a cookie. So as you can see, on the click event of this button, I am calling a method called writeCookie, and here is inside this head in script tag we have the writeCookie method. Inside this, what we are doing is, if the text box value is blank, I am just giving an alert and terminating this function, because I want that there must be some name in the text box before someone clicks on the button. Once a user will enter some value into the text box, and whatever the value it will enter, that will store in the cookie value. Alright, so here you can see, like document means this complete page, dot my form, the name of this form, dot customer, customer is what? Customer is the name of this text box, dot value. Alright, so we are actually getting that particular value, and with a semicolon I will assign that particular value in this cookie value variable. I haven't defined that, you can do that as well, like where cookie value is equal to this. It will not make any different. Now after that, what I'll do, I'll just take the document object, and here I will use the cookie property of it, and here what I'll do is I will write name is equal to, name is just a fixed literal string, and I'll concatenate that particular thing with this cookie value, means whatever we have got from the text box, and later I will simply print the value of that cookie. Alright, so once you will use this document.cookie, it will actually create a text file in the your system as per the browser, means next time when you will be back on this particular website, you can see that stored value. So let's execute this page. So here you can see there's a text box. If I will say click and enter some value, because the text box is blank, now I will enter, like I'll say set value, and here you see setting cookies name. Alright, the value means whatever I have entered in the text box. So this is how you can start working with the cookies in the JavaScript.
Now, here in this video, we are going to do some interactive things. Using some of the methods or timer-like concepts, we can actually make some animation-like things in your web page. And this will definitely not destroy the performance of the web page, as whatever functionalities we will make, it will all execute on the client side only. So there will not be any post-back things happening. So let's see practically how to do some basic level of animations in your web page.
So here inside the body you can see, like I have placed the img tag for putting the animation, and here I have 4 images in the same location, that is 1 2 3 4.png. Alright, and the name of this img tag is img1, so that I can access it from the JavaScript code from this name. And I have called a couple of methods which I'll discuss later, but before that let's go to the JavaScript tag to see how I have placed the animation. As here you can see in the very first line inside the script, I have placed an array of images in which I have just put the name of the images, as I said, 1.png, 2.png, 3.png and 4.png. So one by one I want these images will be set in the img tag. And for pointing each particular element of this array, I have taken the I means index variable, which will point an individual element of this array. Now after that I have taken a reference so that I can control the timer and the slideshow which I am getting started. I'll discuss about this ref later. Now inside this function pick library, what I have done is document.images. Since you can have a number of img tags in your document, I am asking for the first one with the index 0. Either you can use this particular name also inside this square bracket. So just I wanted to check, like the src will be arri. Initially the value of I is 1. The index will begin with 0, but I want that the it should start with the 1. Why? Because by default I have placed the 1.png in the img tag. Alright, so as soon as you will load it, you will see this 1.png, but after a second it will be changed to 2.png. How? Because this will do the thing. It will set the image at the index 1, and then it will do the increment by 1. So 0 1 2 3. If this increment will make it greater than 3, I will reset the value to 0. Alright, and now I will create another function called start. Inside this I have used the set interval method. Basically this set interval method will take a couple of arguments. The first one is the callback function. So here I have passed the name of this function with the name pick library, and it will set, like this set interval function will keep on calling this pick library after each 1000 milliseconds. So after each 1000 milliseconds this method will be called again every time the increment will be there. That's why I have taken this particular variable I outside the scope, outside the function, as a global variable. Alright, now it will start the things. And now to stop, and one more thing, by the time I was setting the interval, I assigned the reference of this interval to the variable called ref, which I have defined already. Now in this stop, when I want to stop the slideshow of the images, I will just pass that reference itself, because there may be a number of intervals there in the single HTML page. So I need to specify like which particular interval I need to clear. That means when I'll say clear interval ref, it will stop calling this pick library after each 1000 milliseconds, that is 1 second. And when actually I'm stopping that, as soon as you will put the mouse over the image, it will stop it. Means you can easily see that particular image, but as soon as you will say mouse out, again that particular interval would be set. So you can do that. And one more thing, I want this slideshow to be there, to be started as soon as the page gets loaded. So I can also call this start function on the onload event. So what I'll do, I'll simply say start. Alright, so now let's come to the browser and see how the output is looking like. So here you can see the different color of logos are there. Alright, so some of them are 1.png, 2.png and all. As soon as I will put the mouse over this image, you see now the image is not getting changed. Alright, but as soon as I will move the mouse out of the image, again this transition will begin. So in the same way, you can use the set interval function for the different purposes, like if you want to change the color of the font or of the background at a particular time, you can just set the logic like this and you can put some animations in the output on the client side.
In this video, we are going to cover the JavaScript objects. Basically, JavaScript here, which we are covering, is an object-based language. So what we can do, we can create an object and can fix some properties into it. Later, as per the requirement, I will be able to retrieve that particular object and the specific property which I want to read. So in this practical, we are going to create a such object, and to retrieve, we will also cover one more for in loop of JavaScript. So let's see now it practically.
Now here you can see I have created the first JavaScript object with the name tutorial, and inside this, rather than passing the single value, I have created multiple properties and have assigned the value in each property. Like I have created a variable or an object with the name tutorial, and inside that tutorial object I have placed three properties, that is topic, trainer and mode. So you can see each three property is having a value. So you can create a separate objects like that with the different properties and can assign the value. You can also create the array of such objects and can put in a separate file which we call the JSON file, that is JavaScript object notation. And you can use very different ways to read that particular JSON file which we have nowadays. Like you can read it from the Node application, from the Angular application. There are a number of ways, but here we are not going up to that level. You can check the different tutorials for that. But here, particularly in this one, I have created just a single object and can read the different properties out of this object. So as here you can see, topic is tutorial, means the object name, and by separating a dot with the dot, you can pass the property name like tutorial.topic, tutorial.trainer, tutorial.mode. So make sure it's case sensitive, so you are using in the very same case. So if you will see the output, you can see like topic, trainer and the mode is online. So this is what, when you want to read a particular object property by property. But we do have a loop here using which I can go for this object reading, and that is a for in loop. So if I'll see the syntax of the for in loop, you can see here, let me align this first. Alright, okay. So here what I have done is I have taken the text property here, text variable here, which is initialized with a blank. Alright, and then to point the specific property of this particular object, I have used this x. You can take anything. Alright, so now inside this for in, what is there? For x in tutorial, this is the main object, and x will be pointing the specific property inside this object. So you can see like tutorial x. So x means it will start from the 0, then it will point out the first property, second property and third property, and as many as there. So I'll concatenate that all the values, only the values, no, I'm not specifying the property name here, but just the value of each property will be concatenated to this string called txt, and I'm separating all the values with the comma. So if I'll refresh this page, you can see JavaScript, that is the first property value, the second property value, and then online, the third property value. So it's all up to you, like how you want to read this specific object, either property wise like this, or you can do all the reading and can store all the values inside this string variable. And as in the string methods, we have already done the split function. So later, if you want to assign all these different values in the array, you can do that using this split method, and each value will be stored in the array. So this is all about the JavaScript object.